Alright, welcome to Mr. Nelson's YouTube video. We're talking today about tables, graphs, and equations. To go from a table to a graph to a table, and to go to an equation from those. Alright, to go from a table to a graph, all you have to do is just plot your points, your x and y points. Take all those x and y coordinates that are on your table and plot them on your graph. So you've got your table, x and y, 3 and 2, 3 and 2. So my coordinate is 3, 2. And you just take that and plot it. And you go over 3 and up 2. Because they're both positive. Alright. This is tables to graphs to equations, okay? To go from a table to a graph, just plot your x and y points. Okay, so all of these are x and y points. 2, 16, 5, 40. So you would just take those and plot them on a graph. To go from a graph to a table, you just check, hey, I went over 2, I went up 16. That tells me my x is 2. My y was 16, so that tells me what my table would look like in that case. Okay? And you just see if it matches. But when we're going from table to graph to equation, or really graph to table to equation, you have to look at the table to be able to write your equation. Later on, next year and the year after, you'll learn how to do it from a graph. But this year, we're just focusing on going from a table to an equation, okay? So you have to look, what's going on between your x and your y? What's happening between them? Well, to go from x of 2, if you got a 2 for x, to go to y at 16, what happened? To go from 2 to 16, what happened? Well, you multiplied by 8. Okay, you can see that you're multiplying by 8 all the way down. 2 times 8 is 16. 5 times 8 is 40. 6 times 8 is 48. 10 times 8 is 80. Okay? So we know that we're multiplying by 8 all the way down. So, you know you're multiplying by 8. Well, you multiply what? You multiply your x by 8 to get your y. So your equation is 8x, or 8 times x, equals your y. That's it. Table to graph. Graph to equation. You can do it all by following those things. Okay? Alright, so what we did in class today is we went through these things. We said we were given a table and we graphed it. Okay? We were given a graph and we put it into a table. Again, we went from a table to a graph, graph to a table, table to a graph, all the way through this one right here. Now here, on this one, we started off with an equation at the bottom there, y equals x plus 7, and we had to write a table from that equation, and then graph your table. Okay? In this case, all you do is you pick an x value. Okay, I like to start with 1, so I'm going to say x at 1. You pick an x value. Well, you take that x, and you plug it in where you see the x in your equation. So you plug in a 1 right here where you see x. Well, 1 plus 7 is 8. So that's your y value. Okay? Well, if you wanted to keep going, you could say 2. So you take that 2 and you plug it in. Plug the 2 in. Now you've got 2 plus 7. Well, 2 plus 7 is 9. Okay? And you keep doing that. You keep plugging in. You keep finding out what your y would be. And then you would have to graph it. Okay? So you'd go over 2. Go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And it'd be like right there. And your first, oh, that was 1, 8. Sorry. 1, 8. And then you'd go 2, 9. 2, 9 would be like right there. And so on and so forth. You'd end up with something that looks like that-ish. I know I'm not perfect at drawing a straight line on here, but that's how you would do this. Then we went through these questions. You were given a table or a graph, and you had to write the equation, or you were given the equation and you had to write it. So this was that one that I just did. I did 1, 8, 2, 9, 3, 10, and you can see. And so here's another one we did in class. We look at the graph, we find the table, we find the equation. Again, we did all of these in class today. All right, so all you're doing is you're finding what's going on between your x and your y. In this case, it's adding 4. All the way down, it was adding 4, adding 4, adding 4 each time. And so adding 4 to your x value is what you're adding it to get your y out. So input-output is what you guys called it before. It's just an x and y table. And then you graph it. And that's it. That's all we did today. If you need help with this, make sure you come to tutoring Tuesdays and Thursdays, or after school or during lunch.